get into it.
Let's start
Alright.
talking, man.
We're starting with it.
Well,
Yeah.
just talking. I actually like that. Talking about servant leadership and just what it means to be a servant leader in a business context. And
Yeah.
James, you even mentioned today, you're like, I never considered myself a leader, but in biblical terms and stuff like that, we've always talked that you're leading by example in Christianity. Like, no matter what you're doing, you're always leading people to something or from something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we're called to lead people to something. Right.
Yeah.
And that's essentially, I think that's where we kick it off, man, today is how are we leading people to something? And
I love it.
that Philippians verse stood out to me big time when I was reading through this today. And you just scrolled past it. It's the do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility value others above yourselves. How can this guide decision making? I'm horrible at reading today, but that just stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because, man, everyday life, and you talked about it, you own your own business. I've previously owned a business. We work with people in so many different walks of life. You travel so much too, man, where you're always looking for avenues and ways to encourage people around you, to build them up.
That's right.
To be better. And I actually look back to the aspect of what's your mission field, right? And I really didn't know what that meant till even, the last 6-7 years of my life, that where I'm at and where I need to serve is the people that I'm currently serving.
Yeah.
And I think servant leadership and that whole term is something that, we could break down. What do you think?
I think, I was never really in a role for a long time that was a servant leadership type of role in any job. I was a bartender or a server. Never really felt like a leader, so I don't really have that much experience other than I had a lot of managers in my jobs that were terrible leaders, I guess.
I think that's where separation begins too, because at first you're observing, right? And we talk about even growing up as a man in society or in finding our roles in life and what we need to do and how we need to grow. There's like this period, this light switch moment. We talked about that a little bit earlier, where it switches you either on the right way or off the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
But like then something happens. Like you talked about your messaging us today too, and it's like,
that was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it's powerful. Like you were talking, Aaron, why don't you talk about it a little bit? Like,
yeah, reiterate that, man, because, you talk about servant leadership and then automatically my mind goes to, okay, how am I going to lead these people? But doing it quietly by action is even more powerful, because you're not shouting out there, hey, you guys got to do this, you got to do that. Right. The transformation that they see in you from what you're abstaining from what you're keeping from doing is more powerful than you getting up there on a soapbox.
Yeah.
Right.
I just basically told you a story, but
right. No, that's
I kind of threw you out there, and I'm like, why don't you explain that? But,
No, I'm good. We can. I guess it is kind of hard to talk about sometimes because there's shame and guilt that's tied to a lot of the past, just from being a hypocrite, living one way in front of certain groups of people and other ways in front of other groups of people.
Right.
And that's just kind of.
I get it.
Not really kind of a double life, really. Certain friends I wouldn't do certain things with, but other friends I would.
Part of a survival mode, though.
There is kind of, that is kind of normal. Like, not every friend golfs, kind of thing. So you're not going to go golfing with everybody, but
right.
Not every friend does cocaine either, or drinks every night and smokes weed every night. And
yeah.
So you have those friends, and then you have other friends, and you're trying to balance the two, and all the while not let your kids find out how bad of a person you were, are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I quit doing all the hard drugs back in the 90s, but still drank for
Right.
32 years.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where we get caught, is even in leading people and working with people, we try and shield and protect. But we've said it
Right.
here more than once, like anything you put into the light could be blessed. And
Yeah.
we don't know how those stories are blessing sometimes, but then we see through God's way of reinforcing it and saying, hey, you what you said to me really changed my life.
Yeah.
Like what you said and how you came out with your struggle made me a better person. And I thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Amen.
And I mean, it hit
Now,
me.
I've heard that a few times,
Right.
in the last couple of years. That
Yeah. Yeah. It's
people
legit.
would quit drinking because they saw that I quit drinking. And then you realize people are watching no matter what you're doing.
Right.
Right.
They're either going to follow you one way or they're going to follow you another, because most people are followers. There's not a lot of leaders.
Which is true too, because like even in our youth and ignorance and stuff like that, sometimes it would be out and now social media is prevalent. You're posting pictures with the shot glass in your hand or something like that. And you never know who's clicking on that picture. And you're like, well, somebody could be struggling with alcoholism, even if I'm not. What's that look to like to somebody who is struggling? Oh,
Yeah.
Jeff does it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I could do that around him.
Well,
Right.
90% of the people don't have a problem. They can stop after 1 or 2 or
Right.
3. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So you can either, like, you can lead
Yeah.
them toward hell or you can lead them toward heaven. And the path I was going down it wasn't a righteous path, even though I had my eyes fixed on heaven. I was living for the world, not for God. And that's the difference. And when you get to those pearly gates and you hear, you want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant.
Right.
You don't want to hear, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And that when I gave you Jesus.
Right.
I gave you
Away
life.
from me, I never
I
knew
gave you
you.
life so that you
Yeah.
could spread joy,
Right.
and you're spreading chaos.
Mm.
So that's kind of, when you feel like a loser, it's kind of hard to feel like a leader, and I felt like a loser all my life.
Right.
So
Yeah, man. That's tough.
it was a hard mindset to switch, but I mean, stopping the drinking helped.
Right. Right.
And that's where like it's like we've talked about other things today. It's constantly, what kind of pressure are you putting on yourself? What standard are you fixing for yourself? Like, you have to know that God is greater than that and your purpose is greater than that. But when you're living for yourself, it's hard to meet your standards. And we're our own worst critics
Oh, yeah.
in
By
every
far.
single way.
Yeah.
And,
By far.
I can look at any single photo I've taken in my entire life, and there's 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I'll find a flaw in every single one of them.
Wow.
oh,
Yeah.
I think I'm like that
I
too
go, there's
in
one,
some way.
here. Could have been better there. That could have been better.
Yeah.
So
I am
eventually you get over it, because not everybody sees them.
Now I've seen this podcast a couple times. I'm like, I am going bald. What the heck?
He didn't put hair on.
I thought they were all liars.
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Yep.
But
You get over it. And you get over that stuff. But we're our own worst critic. And
it is.
That's true.
And how that feeds into other people and other relationships, because I equate being a leader in work and being a leader in life is kind of the same principles as far as even being a strong coach.
A leader in your home.
And it's like, we've all gotten to the point where we understand what the context is in the situation is lead by example.
Right.
Lead, you don't force. And all you can do is your best. And at the same time, that isn't going to be good enough a lot of the time, because you are an imperfect being. But at the same time, it's like, how's that make the situation better?
And it's easy to beat ourselves up when we've done wrong, and we've been doing wrong for a long time, because you've been living in a sin for a long time.
Right.
Because you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And you continue to do wrong. And like we were talking about earlier, it just beats you up. And it just changes. It changes you over time slowly into a different person.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
because the joy is gone.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly beating yourself up about things that you've done wrong in your life.
Yeah.
Because you haven't forgiven yourself for them. Or you haven't asked forgiveness from other people. And without doing that, you're never going to have closure on that part of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still going to beat you up.
Yeah. No, it is one of those things like where you just have to be humble enough to be, hey, we're in this together.
Yeah.
And my opinion is great, but what do you see different? How could I make it different? How could I make it better? And if it's, into the point of starting your own business and doing things like you finally recognize, like, this is what I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is where
It's what
I
I
can
enjoy.
excel. It's what I enjoy. It's what I love. And, people are seeking that all the time. What could I do? And I say, some of the best days of my life were working as a business owner. And I say that off the cuff sometimes, but also too, like, leading people is an example of just how you try and become intentional in life. Like, you're one of the best people I've ever seen at becoming intentional and, like, learning names and getting to the interior of a person and just really creating a relationship with them. And that's the one thing. Like, I know intentionality is a buzzword with everything, but if people feel like you genuinely care, that's where change starts to happen in their relationship with you, and sometimes in the relationship in their lives also, because it's that example, right?
I agree with that. I think that a big part of that was just coming to my own identity as a young kid, and just realizing that I actually am someone, because when you grow up and you live in the shadow of somebody else, or you just haven't discovered your identity yet, I know for me that Christ was the biggest part of my life and understanding, like, who I am.
Yeah.
And when I was able to accept the love that Christ has and realize that, man, I'm everyone else is as imperfect as I am. Yeah. Because as James was saying, I'm looking at counting all my flaws and the things that I can't do. Man, I can't run as fast as that guy. I can't do homework as quick as that dude. I don't get A's. All these things that you compare yourself to. When in reality, like, we are our own unique beings. And if we were able to open our eyes and see that we are a creation by the Father, perfect in his eyes, in an imperfect world, and then when we could finally accept that and say, I am God's child, that's my identity. Once I discovered my identity, I was then able to understand and realize that, man, he loves me. And I don't have to rely on only the earthly love of my mom and my dad, which, of course, as we all know, that's skewed for us as kids. You had mentioned earlier before we started recording about, our past. We all have father wounds. We all have wounds from just being in an imperfect world that just beats you up, including ourselves. So when we could finally move past that and understand, like, true love from Christ, man, it just opens up doors. And he uniquely gifts each individual spiritual gifts that only that person can steward if they hear it or know it right. And I was one of the fortunate ones where I was able to make that connection, and I discovered that in my career, and that's kind of where I found at that point my identity then as a servant leader, and not even knowing it, because I was running crews. I work for a water treatment company, and we would go in and take care of service work for a lot of these big municipal plants. They would assemble a crew of guys for me, and I would come in and I'd run it, and I'd think about it, and I didn't even realize what I was doing until years later. but people are looking to you for direction. And if you are the most experienced at that particular craft, people are going to come to you. And when you do it with confidence, I'm not saying I was the best one to do it, but I wasn't afraid. They're going to look to you.
Right. Yeah.
And I realized that as I was doing that, I was leading people. And then in the construction world, as everyone knows, I mean, the language is just foul. So if you wanted to get these guys' attention, you had to have the worst language. You had to be louder than them. You had to bring it. And after I came to Christ, that changed. And we could talk about that a little bit further and deeper. But it wasn't the crassness. It wasn't all of the, profanity. It wasn't all of the dirty jokes and all this. As a matter of fact, I kind of refrained from that. And it's to the point now where if I'm running a crew, there's guys that are using that language and it doesn't bother me that they're doing that, but they'll come up to me and go, hey, Mr. Kirk, man, we're sorry that we're using it. I'm like, hey, it's okay. Yeah. But it shows posture.
Yeah.
That if we're leading by example and we're leading in the correct way, and people are still looking up to you, they're listening, even in our quietness, as you said.
Yeah.
Sometimes that speaks louder than words.
Right.
You know,
and you mentioned it. Spiritual gifts are a thing, right? And people are like, well, is the Spirit really alive? And we like to think it's alive in us. I mean, a gift of guidance, a gift of leadership. 1 Corinthians 12:28 explains it. Like, people are gifted to teach. People are gifted to prophesy. And people always kind of get confused. Well, they're like, what? They tell the future. They do all those things. And it's not about that. We could talk about prophecy another day. But, different things. But guidance and leadership and administering people is what we step into, and that confidence shows. And like your story was basically just talking about how you were an example based on letting your garbage out there and letting the people see it, because one, we see others' mistakes and we learn from them. Sometimes we make mistakes and
all the time.
We grow and learn from them ourselves. And then we also witness humility or true humility in people. And it's a better teacher. And sometimes it's weighing that through. Like, if you show it in confidence, there's going to be people that judge us and say, hey, they're weak, and sometimes people try and walk around that and walk on it. And it's, you got
there's been a kind of a debate on the Order of Man podcast page about vulnerability and men, and whether or not being vulnerable is a good thing for men. People are like, you're splitting hairs with the wording, but then some people are actually making sense. If you're showing vulnerability, you're showing weakness. Like, you can maybe show, I think somebody
it's like a
said,
chink in your armor.
Show your vulnerability to God, but stand strong in front of man, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's that tightrope you're walking? Like, there's things that even we mentioned in this where it's like, is it your ambitions? I mean, because that's the true test right there, right? I mean, selfish ambitions are just promotion of yourself. And sometimes, that hurts. Like, when you're not a self-promoter all the time. Like, I've seen it in the corporate world too, where I won't put myself in a situation, or I try not to put myself in a situation where I cast discouragement or doubt on people, right?
Right.
I will call out crap, and I'll get into the dirty with the guys that I have that work under me. But sometimes, like, upper management or other executives will look at me and they'll be like, well, you're just a homer for your people. And I'm like, no, I've been where they're at before.
Right.
You understand.
I've walked through it.
Right.
And I want to walk through it the right way with them, so they have a clear understanding of what we're trying to accomplish together. Because without them, we're not going to accomplish it. And without you, we're not going to accomplish it.
See, Jeff, that's true leadership though, right? Because if you think about it this way, right? To build it from the ground up, you understand every layer of that. And when you're leading, or when you're leading and you're over or in charge of other people, you're trying to show them in a sense and speak truth to them. You're calling
Right.
things out, but you're doing it in truth, saying, look, the way we're headed right now, here are the things that are most likely going
Right.
to happen. You're showing them ahead of time. That's leadership. That's true leadership right there.
But I think we've even talked about it in other contexts too. It's like, think about being a little kid, right? And sometimes you do something and your parents are like, it's always going to be worse if you don't tell
Right.
the truth. But still later in life as adults, we have guys that try and hide or brush it
Yeah.
under the rug. We do it in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We do it with our wives. We do it with
Mhm.
our jobs. We do it with everything.
Right.
And I think what we've learned through what we've done is the more you bring that out, like, the easier it is for it to be accomplished
there's a
and
freedom.
blessed, right? There's a freedom in it.
Yeah.
And there's just awareness creates promotion, right?
Yeah.
And help. And like, for me, you know, I have another director that works with me, and I was just telling him today, I'm like,
Mhm.
it's so good to have another person just to talk through this
Yes.
issue with, because basically otherwise people have been running around in confusion for a year about it.
Mhm.
And me and you just talking for 15 minutes basically deciphered the whole thing together.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you have somebody that knows where you're coming from and can add input, or you
Yeah.
know, just like any other man, being vulnerable and asking for help sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
We like
where
to
I-
not admit
you know,
we need
I
it
don't
sometimes.
think vulnerability, like, people are thinking of it as a bad thing.
Yeah.
There's a difference if you're being vulnerable and showing weakness, and there's a difference if you're being vulnerable and doing it from a place of needing help,
Yeah.
or confessing a sin is
Yes.
vulnerability.
Right.
Oh yeah.
No matter if it's, you know, to God or to your friend or your wife or your kids,
Yeah.
you know, that's considered vulnerability, but that's not weakness. So
No.
this whole debate going back and forth has just been interesting to watch. I haven't participated in it. I've just been watching it.
Yeah.
It's been going on for months
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
on one thread.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could probably sit there forever and be like, in the same word, and be like, well, it can mean this. It could be this.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, I squirreled out on you there.
Oh, it's good.
That's good.
It is good.
It all ties in though.
Was there a time when you mentored anybody in your job that it didn't go well, let's say, and you had to fire them, had to let them go, or they got? You don't have to use names, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was a time when you tried to mentor somebody and they didn't receive it well, and it didn't.
Well, I'm just going to
Stick
say
with it.
this is there's sometimes points where you could be all the help in the world and you're still not changing somebody's free will. And, you know, working in sales, there's a lot of guys that think very highly of themselves in situations.
Right.
And, you know, it's like you could say these things and it could be complete truth, but it looks like a lie to them in some ways. So, you know, he could lead fish to water, but he's got to swim, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that one of the things? Or
Horse to water,
a
you can't
horse
make
to
'em
water
drink.
and get a drink. Yeah, you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very good with the sayings, but at the same time, it's I've had situations where I've pointed out flaws and even put people on performance plans, and they knew their flaws, and some were accepting and some weren't. But even the accepting ones didn't always change, right? And they're like, yeah, I know I do this. I'm going to try and do better. But they fall into that same pattern and progression back into the problem. And I battled an employee once with alcoholism, and I thought I was the savior, right? I found out some stuff about the back end of their life and the hurt they went through, how they were coming closer to God. They thought the move that they made would make them grow stronger. So I poured myself into it. I ended up with shingles. This is
Stress.
like Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's exactly right.
like
Because
when
you're
I
carrying
first
it.
got into being saved,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got shingles, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what the heck happened? I analyze it with Brooke, and I'm like, I tried to save him. I didn't let God
Yeah.
do the work,
Yeah.
and I'm not the savior, right? So I've handled other situations differently because of that.
You learned from it. That's what you did.
100%. And
Yeah.
I learned in a painful way. That sucked. It was
Yeah.
awful.
But you know what, though?
Um,
Regardless how we learn it, right?
Yeah.
It's still sanctification, right? As we're drawing closer to Him.
Right.
It's like that infinity line. You will never reach infinity. You'll get closer and closer and closer to it, but you'll never get there.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We're striving to be closer to the perfect being,
Yeah.
the Christ, but we'll never get there. And it's okay if you learn something and you modified your behavior in order to
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
do it, and it's fine. So
That's the key, is the modifying of the behavior.
yeah, and just accepting the fact that, man, dude,
Because I
that
can't tell
stress-
you how many times I made the same mistake over and over again.
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Well, and that's where like people were shocked.
At
in
one
that-
point, you got to give up,
peop-
surrender.
Right. And people were shocked in that situation for me because I'm not a guy that shows a lot of stress. Like I don't,
Right.
I consider most things joy. Right. I just,
Yeah.
you've heard what I grew up with, some things, and you know, at the end of the day, you make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But that really affected me because I was bought in, you know, to like seeing
Yeah.
the growth, but I thought I was more the self-director of that growth, and every failure just took a chip
Mhm.
away from me. And I was like, oh, you're not the one that can lead that horse to water.
It's not your battle.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll take a stab at something else too, though.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that is a course that a lot of us as new believers, we go through.
Yeah.
Because we still believe that, hey, I'm doing a good deed and I'm bought in and I'm going to do this. The word I'm gonna,
Mhm.
I, me, until we need to go through some of that
Yeah.
in order to realize like, oh yeah, it was never me.
Mhm.
There's a humility to that, but also too in the learning, and again, because of sanctification, as we grow closer to
Yeah.
Him, our experiences open us up to a different set of lens to put on, and then we could see more clear. But once you walk through it, man, that minefield that I just walked through, I'm walking through another one, but I can see a lot better now, and I
Well,
understand.
It's one of our buddies says this all the time. It's working from, and this is true in all walks of life and leadership. It's once you get past the mindset of you have to do things,
Mm-hmm.
you want to do things, I have to, and you move past the I statements in your life, and you move to
Yeah.
the point where you get to do things,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
you're blessed
Oh yeah.
to serve others in those things, and
You know, you eventually get to the point where you're blessed to wake up and have another day.
right.
So go
Yes.
make something of it.
But that's a big deal, is moving past the I's in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think one of the realizations I had as a Christian man in leadership, as a Christ follower in leadership,
Mhm.
was the fact that I had to relieve myself of a mindset of I statements and everything.
Yeah.
And I still get my feelings hurt sometimes, and I get offended. And
We're human.
I pop off, and
Yeah.
then I end up apologizing mid-conversation
I've done that
because I'm
before,
like,
too.
yeah, that was wrong.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. That was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And
Love Chris.
Me too. He's got a heart of gold, man.
Man.
but that's the thing, is now you're self-evaluating even in the conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that also goes back to that whole point we were making before about perfection. Like, you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
You just have to be aware.
Mm.
Yeah.
And self-awareness is a journey. It really is. And there's people that never get it.
Right.
And that's okay. I just hope they don't lead me somewhere. So,
Yeah.
but that's, that
So-
is what it is.
So similar to yours, I guess I worked with a guy before who wanted to just climb the ladder.
Yeah.
And I was a young leader in my company too. And I looked at it like, hey, I'm going to help this guy as best as I can. But what we don't realize, and I think you said a part of it too, that guy that you're talking about with the alcoholism, we can't feel where the person that we're pouring into, we can't feel what they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because they themselves are in a place that we may be able to comprehend, but not fully comprehend. And we're not waking up every day feeling what they feel.
Right.
Well, and
Therefore, even though they're getting poured into, and we think that, oh man, we're doing a bang up job, and it's all about me. I had to finally put myself in a mindset like, what is he feeling right now?
Yeah.
And when it kind of went sideways, and he parted ways with the company, which was fine. I mean, it's, it is what it is. I didn't take any personal feelings towards that. But it wasn't until later on in life when I was able to reflect back and go, you know what? I unfairly judged him because I put myself in his shoes where I was at that time.
Yeah.
And if I rolled the tape back, I needed to back myself up to when I was struggling and wanting to do all these things, which is closer to where he was. And even the guys who were trying to pour into me at that time, they wouldn't reach me because it was still all about me.
Well, it's funny you said that though too, because how much does God use reflection to speak?
Yes.
And like people are like, well, you hear an audible voice of God. Like, what's the audible voice of God about? It's reflection. It's the inner. I mean, we all hear, no, man, don't do that. In the back of our minds, we got, Tweety Bird here and the devil on the other side, and different things. And I'm like, but that, like, if you really understand that, if you really dig into that, you finally realize, like, God uses that power of reflection to guide you and speak to you. He uses everything we do in our lives, in our professional careers, and different things, how we interact with our families, how we interact with our dogs, and even chickens in my case, right? But every interaction is used for progression, for like that's what we talked about earlier, that switch moment, like
the light bulb moment.
Everybody gets a moment where they're like,
I like that, by the way.
And I think the Bible opens you up to that, though.
I've actually bought light bulbs we could turn on just for that reason.
It's sit here.
Nice.
Hey, we've done that bit before in the past in other podcasts, but it's what the Bible is to us. Is you finally hunger for learning constantly. Like, you reach a point as a man where, and I think that's almost where you graduate into maturity. Like, we still might all be we still might all be 18-year-olds in the back of our mind athletically in every which way we try and do stupid things that don't work out anymore. But at the end of the day, maturity is like the fact that you hunger for knowledge, like all the time,
right?
And you're not afraid to admit when you're wrong. And man, I wish I could have had that hunger when I was a kid, like young kid, and known, because I probably wouldn't have had to work as hard as I had to when I got out of it to prove yourself.
That's wisdom, obviously.
Right. Yes.
But how much, like you said, if we just paid attention to what our parents and our grandparents were telling us, and not been like, they're old, they don't know what they're talking about.
The pride.
And I'm not talking about like for technology or how to ride a bike or anything like that, or how to tie a tie. I'm just talking about
basic life.
Philosophically and biblically.
Yes.
How to treat people and what to expect in life.
Simple.
And this is reality and this is not kind of thing. And man, if we just paid attention more to our elders, life would have been a lot easier.
And I think, obviously,
pay attention, kids.
My grandfather had a profound effect on my life. And his story had a profound effect on my life. I mean, you're looking at a man that was born out of war. And his mom was a nurse that decided to keep him. He's the first one to come in. And, she was a Polish nurse, and something happened with a Nazi soldier, and she moved to the United States and had my grandfather.
No.
And
I don't think I've heard the story yet.
It's awesome.
This is hard because not my whole family knows the story either, because of
sanitize it a little
protection. for them. So yeah, earnestly, that man, you know, he was born of something that should have never happened.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my great grandmother was raped, and that was the start of
Wow.
my family. There, that man went to Chicago when he was in World War II and saw a pretty girl standing under Marshall Field's clock and went and spoke to her, and that's how he met my grandmother.
Wow.
Kissed her. They still have a picture. They had a picture that I saw in my life, like of him kissing her, like those famous pictures you always see.
Yes.
At that point. And
Yes.
that was it right there. She's like, well, Chicago's my place.
Mm-hmm.
He moved from he lived in the mountains as a hillbilly, straight up hillbilly,
Yeah.
in the mountains of Pennsylvania, Appalachians.
Mm-hmm.
And
Moonshiner.
well,
Could very well
so there was some rattlesnake elixir and some stuff, some healing powers
There you go.
and things that happen
Healing
early
potions.
in life. Healing potions. That sounds like a little bit of witchcraft in this talk today, so we'll steer away from that a little bit.
Lemonade. We'll just call it lemonade.
Yeah, lemonade. But like he decided to move his roots and come to Illinois and start something. And now,
Yeah.
you know, he had my mom first and 2 sons afterwards.
Yeah.
They unfortunately miscarried. I think my mom was supposed to have an older sister.
Mm.
But those 3 people came from something that never should have been.
Mm-hmm.
And a family was started there. And now we're looking at down the road to grandchildren and great-grandchildren. There's a legacy of 50 people
Wow.
that grew from one bad root, right? And, you know, there's so many things that I didn't know in my life, like that people could hinge on this politically or take it however they want to. If my great-grandmother didn't make the decision to keep him,
Right.
I wouldn't be here.
Right.
That's right.
Your kids wouldn't be here.
So
That's right.
my kids wouldn't be here. Whatever legacies they leave wouldn't be there. But it took him
That's good, bro.
to change the perception or the direction of family. And he loved God. I mean, he was a staunch Catholic, very in tune to the Catholic Church, very like hard-nosed, like this is what we should do. My grandmother may have forced that into him too. But handy.
Yeah.
He was the guy that took me out fishing all my life. He basically helped raise me my first 7-8 years of my life, and he showed me what it meant to love people well.
Wow.
Mm.
And even though I denied that so many times,
It was
I
in
could
there.
reflect on that history.
It's
and
your
be
foundation.
Like, man, this.
Yeah.
I got to speak at his funeral in front of my whole family
What an honor, bro.
and just
yes.
talk about that man's love. And he loved. I mean, this guy had a bunch of grandsons. It was my sister was the only granddaughter. So you talk about
Oh, wow.
a messy house of a lot of kids that could eat some food. But he loved us all. It was his best day ever. You could just see the joy in life in everything he did.
So
He cooked well.
Think
all those
about
things.
that model, though, right? So a part of him and how he raised you, it's a part of how you treat your kids and how your kids have seen you. They're going to treat their kids. Pastor Jody says this all the time. When we follow Christ, when we follow God, we have the ability to change generations, like four generations at least. And that's a prime
breaking
example.
generational curses, like we were saying.
You open the good book and you turn to Matthew and you look at the lineage where Matthew is specific about the names. That's when you were saying that, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. Like each one of you came from there is a specific order.
Yeah.
And you know what? God uses everything.
Yep.
For those who Romans 8:28.
Yeah.
For those who follow him, and I'm misquoting it, but you know what I'm trying to say. For the good of
He's pulling it up.
Yeah.
No, it is for the good. And
And look at that. You know?
The worst of situations.
Yes.
It
He
turned into
wastes
generational
nothing.
love.
Yeah.
Yes, through love, because
Right.
of love for him.
Right. 100%. And
Oh, thanks, James.
but even thinking about that in the context of people,
There it is.
like in the context of people and leading people, it's like
Yeah.
you got to know when people are gone, but you also have to know that nobody's ever too far gone.
Yeah.
And you have to put a carrot out there just
Yeah.
in a personal situation, like even the girl or the person I was dealing with the alcoholism and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I had to give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But then that situation I might have held on too long, and personal judgment,
Mm-hmm.
is you're not a savior. But I can look back at that whole
Yeah.
beginning of my lineage,
Yes.
my family's lineage, and say, somebody took a shot, and God took a shot on this, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about the impact that you have now, right?
Yeah.
As a true Christ follower.
Yeah.
The legacy that you're leaving. We just mentioned it to your two sons and your daughter.
yeah,
They too know they have a foundation that
Right.
they too will build on. And it's all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of us. Bro, your walk, my walk. I mean, our kids can look back. My old man, yeah, he made mistakes and he said a lot of things and it was boneheaded and I didn't like him for many things, but he was consistent and he loved me and he loved my mom and he led by example.
Mm-hmm.
If they can say that, then we're doing it the right way.
right.
Because they too, they know, like, yeah, he's flawed.
Yeah.
But he's doing it.
It's a pretty rough day when your kids figure out how flawed you really are, though, because you kind of see
Yeah.
the hero look. When they're little,
You are their hero.
Right.
You're literally their hero, and then they realize you're a hypocrite.
Right.
Well, also too, though, the world, they're exposed to the world who's beating them up too.
True.
So they're exposed to
same
that
world
as well.
The same world
That
that's beating us all up.
right.
In
So
one way or another.
a lot of truths come out.
Mm-hmm.
But how hard is it to recognize the fact when you do like the points you do crush them? Like you see the physical crushing of their spirit sometimes in
Yeah.
the actions that you had before you even saw that, and you could reflect on it and you're like, oh man, I just created a wound that he's going to be unpacking when he's my age in life
Yeah.
or something. And you're like,
That's what everybody
Man.
wants to avoid as a parent,
right.
Yeah.
And then when you realize it's too late, the damage is done. You're like,
Yeah. Right.
talk about it in therapy someday. Sorry.
But you know what, though?
Yeah.
We have a follow-up too, though.
Yeah.
I always say that, man, I've gone to bed angry before with tea. And once our marriage was reconciled and redeemed and in a good place, I always remembered that, man, the follow-up is more important than the immediate apology or whatever.
Yeah.
How am I going to follow up? And is it going to be true?
Right.
And am I going to be true to my words? Or am I just going to repeat the same broken habit that I did before where she's just like, see, there was no change.
Right.
So we
It's
do have
those examples you leave behind. Right.
we
That's
have
a
we
good
have a
segue
follow-up.
into leading in your home.
Yeah.
Mm. All right.
Have you ever experienced moments where you were obviously leading not well in your home?
Oh, yes.
And what's the best way to deal with that? Because there's going to be guys watching this who are not Christ followers,
yeah.
but they might live, say moral life. They don't want to
Right.
be a terrible leader in their home. They
Right.
just might not be leading it biblically. So what's a good way to, like if that were to happen in a work setting and you couldn't use Christ as an
Right.
example,
So
what's a good way to learn and fail up from that?
I was always taught to be a good person. And this is before I even came to Christ. So there was a foundation there. And there's millions of people that are out there that, hey, man, I'm a good guy,
Mhm.
All's good. I don't think, for me anyway, it wasn't until I realized that his death on the cross, something that I could never earn, something that was an absolute gift that I don't deserve and was given to me, until I could soak that in and realize that, so wait a minute now, you mean to tell me that his at Calvary, where his death on the cross covered my sins that I committed, that I'm doing now and will future commit, he took that on for the entire mankind? Until you're able to wrestle with that and kind of figure that out and come to a humility of it, being a nice guy and doing things which I thought I was doing okay, but I would make the same repetitive mistakes that put me into that spot where our marriage was just doing this. And it got to the point where, man, I have a great roommate, you know? So leading, now I'm bringing Christ into the picture, where it wasn't until I really started walking with the ways of Christ, for first forgiving myself of the things that I committed and did, and then being able to say, well, wait a minute now, I left this gaping hole between me and my wife, and I now need to talk to her. And it's more the change, it's a lifestyle change and an action, as we've just read in the book of James. You know, you show me your faith, and if you're walking faithfully, it will naturally produce actions. That, I think, is one of the key things for me anyway, is that it's not an action change, it's a heart change. And then once my heart was in tune with Christ and just making better decisions and putting her first, not putting her first, but before it was always about me.
Putting her needs before yours. Right?
Yes. And then that change and a continual consistency on that was what really got her to be on board, because it was a same empty promise year after year after year after year. And she wouldn't have to say anything, but the look on her face was like, you're doing the same thing. So leading started from in here in the heart.
Yeah.
And then that led to an actual action.
And just like you're saying, guys that, you know, have struggled to even find that relationship with Christ, even at the point of just knowing, it's the humility of putting something before your needs. Like we'll talk about it, and it's funny because leadership in the home also goes with the sound marriage. Because that example of the foundational marriage in a strong relationship with your wife is God's example in the home. And, you know, that may not be your belief, but at the same time, like we say this in what we do a lot of the times, it's 9/10 of the problem all the time stems from your feelings and what's going on with yourself. So before you step into an argument with your kids, before you like yell at them for doing something, you really got to get to the reason behind the reason.
Good. That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to judge, well, am I yelling at them because I'm trying to watch a football game right now, or there's something going on that they're becoming a distraction for me, and I really just want them to stop because they're taken away from me time? Because 9/10 of the problems we cause and the rift we cause with our kids and our wives and our families and everybody around us is caused by just unintentional distress on things we deem important. Right?
Selfishness.
It is selfishness, and it is the root of kind of everything, and it's the root of every division. Think about like this, right? Like the devil is a roaring lion. He's prowling in the background, wanting to devour, and he doesn't want you to be in relationship with people. He doesn't want, because there's strength in relationship, right? There's strength in human bonding, and men even talking about this. That's why even fatherless homes are a big thing, because at the end of the day, there's no strength in guidance. There's a way that people are wandering away from the flock, so they basically could fall into their own catastrophe or their problems or different things, and it becomes
Isolation.
very secular, right? In ways, and the leadership just is stemming from shedding those I statements in your life,
Yeah.
and creating, we as a family, creating like, this is my unit. Like, my family's my unit, right?
Yeah.
It's, for me,
Right.
it's God, then my
Chose to have
family.
them.
But if you're not even into God, it's your family. Like, that should be your number one.
Yeah.
Not work. I mean, yeah, we got to create space and we have to create freedom, but are you living to work or working to live?
Right.
Right? And
That's really good.
I think that's where, as men, sometimes we get caught up in those things.
Well, let me add one more thing to that, and I thank you for going on that segue too, because
Yeah.
I think I was trying to branch there in a way,
Yeah.
but it's, what is our identity?
It's
When we identify ourselves as the worker or the dad or the coach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm gonna put everything I have into this. Well, you know what? When my kid doesn't see me as the coach that I think I
Right.
want to be, the I statement, my identity is then skewed.
right.
So this is where,
That's where Christ does come into play, because we found our identity in something that's greater than I, right?
right.
And we realize that and recognize it. And it is our job to guide people there.
Yeah.
It really is. And we view it as such. We all do. And that's why we'll talk about it in this context too. But even for the person that's, still there, you have to get past that I and find something greater.
Yeah.
And, that's your opinion might drive you, but at the same time, again, what is that? That's yours.
I really like the way you said that too. Even if Christ is not the center of your life, the unit, the family unit, once we make it completely about the selfishness of ourselves, it's hard. It's difficult for us to share that with,
Right. So
with our
hopefully,
wives,
James,
with our kids,
hopefully we answered that
in a roundabout
I think
way.
so. What was my question?
Just
in the
becoming a
family
leader
unit.
in the home. So,
It's good.
but
Yeah, you did.
no, it's like everything. We could keep it down to simple principles and stuff like that, and purpose, meaning, love, joy, happiness. Like, what do you need? And every young man thinks they need the hot rod and the beautiful wife and all those things. And I'm not saying I don't have those things, but at the end of the day, it's like, no, like, what are you seeking? And seek first the kingdom of God, and with all his righteousness, it will be given to you. Right?
Yeah. If you're seeking admiration from the world, then you're never going to get it all.
All right. Well,
And you're always going to be disappointed.
let me throw this out though. There's a lot of us, including myself, I didn't know what I was seeking until the Lord. In other words, I put my identity in as a professional worker and as, all these things that the world sees. And I thought that it would make me happy. And when it didn't, the emptiness was prevalent. But what I didn't know was what I really needed was Christ. And that, man, when our identity becomes, we are children of the Creator, and he has so much for us, because there's God-given talents that we possess, and we don't even know how to use them. And when he unlocks that by drawing closer to him, and then we get to serve him, it opens up a whole new perspective. So anyway.
No, it does. I'm sitting here and I'm kind of distracted because I'm even getting texts from, Brooke at the same time. And she's like, I need you to go do something for me. I'm like, all right, I got it. Don't worry. I won't talk forever tonight, which we could, but we could talk about this forever. And I think that's the process of true servant leadership is just finding out
Yeah.
how you move from I to what is the collective goal? What is the collective reason?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we know our reason, right? It's Christ. And
Yeah.
but the collective goal and the goal of an organization, the goal of a family, the goal of male relationship, the goal of everything, coaching kids, walking them through baseball, walking them through different things, they all have commonality. And it is simple principles that we could work through to get to that space in each situation. You know, even working through your gifts and getting to the final piece of admission of like self-failure. And in all that, there's growth. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we all had to fail forward in the right ways to get to our positions in life and where we're at in family, in friends, in church, in work, and everything. But it's also walking next to somebody alongside them and helping them fail the right way.
Well, I think if you can show people that they're not the only ones that fail,
Right.
they're
That's
not
good.
and if you're just not afraid to talk about it,
Right.
then you can heal from it.
Yeah.
You can help others heal from
Right.
it.
Right.
And then once that hit me after about 4 months of not drinking, I thought, I can't keep this to myself.
Yeah. It's
There's
so
There's
good.
freedom involved.
Yeah.
And that freedom comes, by not killing yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know? So at that point, I'm like, why should I not talk about this? Because other people are going to die if they don't hear other people talking about it.
Yes.
And the more, especially with men, the more men who talk about it, the more lives get saved.
And just even knowing that in, family instances or people drinking themselves into situations where they get liver disease, right? Because, alcohol is a toxin.
Yeah.
It's toxic to your
Straight
body.
up poison.
You're drinking poison with every sip.
It's marketed as a good time.
Right. It is. And the freedom and love in it and stuff like that. And, I'll enjoy a craft brew every once in a while or something like that just because I enjoy it. But at the end of the day, you think of that. It's not necessarily putting a gun to your head and trying to pull the trigger, but
It's a slow suicide, though.
it is.
I mean,
Cirrhosis of the liver. And
and
I've
it got
had
to
that
the point where
in
it
my
wasn't working fast enough for me, and so I was about to
Right.
take matters into my own hands.
Right.
But it is a slow suicide if you're
It
an
is,
alcoholic. If you're an alcoholic, you might as well just accept the fact that you're killing yourself.
Well, I think even now, too, with
'Cause you
new data that's come out, there's 100 different born cancers from alcoholism. 100 different cancers that are born of alcoholism. And I
It
think I
goes
was reading
straight
that
to the
somewhere
body and
today.
through the blood and then all throughout the
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
blood cancer,
the brain.
liver, brain,
Wow.
all those things. And you're just like,
It literally dries your brain out. That's what I call it.
Wow.
And I was reading another statistic that
Holes all
in the
over the place.
last few years, like even people who drink, I think nationwide has dropped to the lowest point it's been before like the 60s or 70s. It's like at one of the lowest points it's been, and it's like 56% of Americans surveyed in this new survey
Yeah.
were say, we drink. And that was the lowest it's been in that many years. It's insane. So,
Wow.
but just thinking through that, like we were taught that it is how you have fun, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like you never knew marketing, and you remember the old Joe Camel commercials and stuff like that when we were kids, and all that dumb stuff, and you never realized that like that stuff had influence, but it actually did.
It did. It did. You know what, James? Let me say something else to you, man. Is that when you were able to publicly speak about that and how you're like, you know what? This has been so good to me. I want to share this with other people because it's going to save lives. So Chris talks about it every time. He uses the term God math because then it multiplies, right?
Yep.
And I love that saying because it's appropriate. But it took you're like, man, I was ashamed of this. And this really put a damper on me. It kept a blanket over me. Once you kick that blanket off and you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Look at the people's lives and again, Jeff said it earlier too. We don't even realize the people's lives that we are able to influence in a really good and positive way. We don't even know that, right? That all it took was them listening to even one paragraph or one bit of it, and it was able to get them in the correct direction. And maybe that was just God's timing of saying, whoever it is, person XYZ, that little tidbit opened up an avenue of hope, and then that hope turned into something else, and then again and again and again. It's that God math.
The spark that turns into a fire.
Yeah, he just multiplies.
Yeah.
So man, just the intentionality. Again, you and I have been using that word for years, and I love that. So, just the fact that we're able to discuss this openly and talk about it, man, and just continue on.
Well, when you see other people in the pit, you want to pull them out,
Right?
Because you've been there.
Especially, yes, you know what they're feeling,
and that's where we even,
I see it at church all the time.
Yeah, we lead through marriage ministry also, and we speak into couples young and old, and like just walking through those selfish ambitions, because when you come together as one, as a unit, as a family,
yes,
this is the same aspect in work. This is the same aspect in life, and anything you're trying to accomplish, you have to find commonality. And if you work through individuality in any of those relationships,
right,
it dies. It dies fast.
Yeah.
It's where divorce happens, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's divorce from a company, divorce from a relationship.
I didn't even think of it
That's
that way.
everything.
Yeah.
Walking
Divorcing
away
from
from a
society,
coach.
right? Isolate myself.
Right. And
I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I was good at that too.
And that happens. And that's like where the lie comes in to continue feeding that with something that dulls the pain.
Right.
And if you can't walk towards the pain, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You have to walk towards it at some point.
There's-
Face it or die.
For me, it was fear of
Right.
fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
I think we were even talking about that earlier with health.
Yeah.
But fear of the unknown of how society and how people would react to knowing certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other option was death. So why, if you don't face the fear,
Right.
then you're just facing your death.
Yeah.
A
So
slow one.
when you get to that crossroad
Mhm.
for somebody who's suicidal, don't choose death. Face your fear, because there's freedom on the other side
Right.
of that fear.
And it takes three guys in a room to say it. Hopefully it clicks with you at some point. But, we say, face it, and there's freedom on the other side. But truly, if you're struggling in anything, 1 foot forward is always something better than 2 steps back. Don't fall into this.
Amen.
Like, habits change
Yeah.
by acting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you create new habits by
Yes.
continually acting. So, and that's where, like, we tell people to pick up the book, get in the Word,
Yeah.
right? Where it's great. You go to church, you're creating a habit. It's a new habit. But then you live your life the way you want to live it, the way I statements happen the rest of the week, and you're not in the Word. But when you get in the Word and you read what it says, or read what it says and do what it says, it creates a new habit and a new life and a new awareness. And it makes you want to even share the junk, because you're so excited to step away from it and show others, like, there is joy.
And how good it
There's
is
so much joy.
And
to be
you're
free
missing.
of that.
there are millions of people out there with the same junk,
Right.
sitting in the same pit.
Right. And you get in a room with,
You just
like,
got to get out. You got to get out of that pit.
like married couples.
Yeah.
Let your friends help.
He said, hey, we were roommates going like this. You know how many married couples say, well, I feel like my spouse's roommate. And
Yeah.
through marriage ministry, we found out our wives actually like to talk. Like, I'm like, oh man, like, I gotta talk when I'm like been talking all day with people from work, and you want me to talk to you and show
I
affection
got 3 kids over
and
here
give
wanting
you
to talk.
a hug. But it's like just, yeah, we are Neanderthals in some way where we, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the Geico commercial and I feel bad for the caveman because I'm like, yeah, my mind is like the me hit woman, we get food, let's go home. I love you, babe. You know, and that's going to happen. It's going to all just self-create. And then you just realize like, no, only things are solved through action.
Yeah.
And if you don't have action towards your wife, action towards your work, action towards the problem, you become part of it.
Yeah.
And God shows us that. He's like, no, this is how you handle it. You make a mistake, you work through it.
Yeah.
You screw up with people, get rid of you and figure out what makes them thrive and show them love and empathy and the fruits of the Spirit. Right? So it's just,
It's good.
we continually complicate it. And
We do.
Yeah.
all you need is a little faith to know it works.
Yeah.
Right?
It also helps to have, when I wasn't, if I'm surrounded by godly men who tell me, hey, Kirk, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But come on board, man. I'm going to walk next to you. It is so impactful.
Let's figure it out together.
Oh, man.
Energy.
So impactful.
We pick each other up
Energy.
and carry each other to Jesus.
Energy is contagious.
It is.
100%.
Yes.
We talked about energy the other day.
Yeah. And sometimes when you see weird, wacky energy, and I have a good friend at work that he is crazy and does like woo and all this stuff, and is just comes with all this energy, and but you get around it for a minute, and you're like, you know what? Like, thank you.
I
Like,
needed that.
That just picked me up, man. I'm
needed
rearing to
that.
go. I'm in.
Just love those people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, in some instances you got to become that person. In some instances, just
Yeah.
talking and encouraging, just
Something
move
so
somebody
simple.
in the right direction.
Something so simple.
Right. And it's funny because we mentioned the gifts of the Spirit earlier today, and prophecy is one of them.
Yeah.
And prophecy, the gift of prophecy isn't telling the future for somebody, it's encouraging them
Wow.
to step forward. And look up the definition of prophecy. It is encouragement, giving somebody encouragement.
That's good.
And people who do that the best sometimes are lifesavers in so many situations.
Yeah.
And they're ordained by Christ to save your life.
So what you're saying is, so we lead and we don't even realize it. We're walking into HEB. Hey, another plug for HEB. We love HEB.
Yeah.
Shout out HEB.
I love when
good stuff.
when Coach and Chris were talking about that. But something so simple as walking into HEB. There's a guy that's just standing by the shopping carts where you grab the carts before you go in, and he's just looking down, you know, and you could tell that he's just disconnected from what's going on, whether it's stress, whether it's he's worried about something, it doesn't matter. A simple, hey man, I saw you over there and I just wanted to say hi, whatever.
Yeah.
It's that little bit, right? It's that leading in a way that step out of my comfort zone,
Right.
and just say, hey, I see you. You all right? Looks up, even if it was just a nod, right? Like, hey, here's a person that probably hasn't gotten an acknowledgement in a while,
Right.
for whatever reason. And just that little bit of an acknowledgement for no reason at all.
Right.
No other reason than, hey brother, I see you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, can I help you with something? Or I think Brother Tim says this all the time. The Lord told me to pray over you. But you know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be that drastic.
Yeah.
But sometimes just being able to see that person as a person, because maybe he hasn't been acknowledged in such a long time,
Right.
could make a difference in his day.
Right.
And have a different outlook.
What
or
do
whatever.
you see? and what are you seeking? Because that's the other thing too, is people that see a lot of problems always see what they seek.
Yeah, you'll find what you're looking
Always.
for.
100% of the time. You want to find a problem at any church you go into, you're going to see
You're
what
gonna
you
find
seek.
Yeah,
You're going to see what you seek. You want to see a problem in a person you're trying to get in a
you're
relationship
gonna
with,
find it.
you're going to find it.
That's a good point.
Because we are selfish beings that are driven by our own morale, our own upbringing, our own problems, our own things, our own mess. And you just change your perspective.
Yeah.
And God gives you that perspective that's completely different. So,
That's good.
Love it.
cool, man.